Now, Adam Silver has caused quite a stir in WNBA world because he just went on the Today Show and he was talking about the WNBA CBA. And here's what he had to say. He said, "I think share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA.
The one player hired to save the WNBA might be the very reason it's about to collapse." Caitlin Clark's arrival was supposed to be a fairy tale, a story of a transcendent talent lifting an entire league to new heights. Instead, it has ignited a brutal civil war between players, owners, and the two most powerful people in basketball. Now, with the league losing millions and its leadership locked in a public power struggle, a single question hangs in the air. Did Caitlin Clark's stardom accidentally create a monster the WNBA can no longer control? This isn't a story about growth anymore. It's about survival.
Increase in this cycle of collective bargaining, and they deserve it. So what he's talking about here is the revenue share that the players have been fighting for. So essentially what the players have said in these negotiations is that they want to be paid more when it comes to their salary, but they also want a higher percentage of the revenue split because currently they are only getting 9% of that revenue split. But we have went over it a million times, you guys. The structure of the WNBA, the finances in the WNBA, and the structure of the finances in the NBA.
The first shot was fired on national television, and it was aimed with deadly precision. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver went on the Today Show and dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through the entire league. When asked about players getting a bigger piece of the financial pie, his answer was brutally, shockingly honest. He said the players absolutely deserve more money, but a bigger percentage of the revenue just wasn't going to happen. In front of millions of viewers, he drew a hard line in the sand, publicly telling the players' union to back off before they even got to the negotiating table. For the WNBA's own commissioner, Cathy Engelbert, it was a complete and utter nightmare. Her boss, the man who ultimately signs the checks, had just sabotaged her negotiations before they even truly began.
WNBA, as you know, they're calling for players in the WNBA are calling for more money. They 9%, I believe, accordingly. They get 9% of total revenue compared to roughly 50% of the revenue of NBA players. Should they be getting a larger share of the revenue in the WNBA?
Yes. I mean, I think the share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA. I think you should look at it in absolute numbers in terms of what they're making, and they are going to get a big increase in this cycle of collective bargaining.
What happened next was unprecedented, a move that took a private business dispute and turned it into a public circus. Instead of handling things behind closed doors like professionals, the WNBA Players Association went nuclear on social media. They posted a petty, sarcastic jab directly tagging Adam Silver, asking "don't want to share." It was a move straight out of a high school drama, making the league's most sensitive internal business a public spectacle for the world to see. The league's spokesperson immediately fired back, calling the union's claims misleading and dishonest. Suddenly, Cathy Engelbert wasn't just negotiating a contract, she was trying to manage a full-blown PR crisis, helplessly stuck between a roster of angry players and her own powerful boss.
What the solution is. Now, in true WNBPA fashion, they decided to clap back on their Instagram account to Adam Silver's remarks. And they posted this. They said, "don't want to share" at Adam Silver. So they literally tagged Adam Silver, used a screenshot from this interview, and posted this in their Instagram story. You guys, I do not know what they think doing that will accomplish. You know how there's that meme where it's like 0 days of whatever? It's like 0 days of.
But the real, ugly problem was hidden deep within the league's fine print, a structural flaw that most fans have no idea exists. The WNBA doesn't even control its own destiny. The league itself only owns a minority 42% of its own operations. The NBA, led by the very same Adam Silver, owns another massive 40% stake, with the rest belonging to outside investors brought in to keep the league afloat. This shocking structure means Cathy Engelbert is a commissioner in name, but little more than a middle manager in reality. Even if she personally wanted to give the players the 50-50 revenue split they're demanding, she physically can't. Adam Silver holds all the purse strings, and the players just publicly declared war on the one man who is single-handedly keeping the lights on.
Was like, "we call BS and we see you." It's like, I don't understand what posting this does besides stir up more drama. And people are like, "ooh, look at them." Look, it's like, no, we're acting like children. Should be acting like a professional organization. You have to work out these things at the negotiating table, not on social media. Like, this is so childish to me. And when I saw this, it just reminded me of how draining it is sometimes to cover this league, because it's like seriously, truly, really.
This has led to the one word that makes every owner, investor, and sponsor break out in a cold sweat: lockout. For the first time in the WNBA's entire history, the players are seriously threatening to refuse to play if they don't get the deal they want. The deadline is set for Halloween, and the timing couldn't be more terrifyingly appropriate. If the two sides can't come to an agreement, the 2026 season might not happen at all. The players believe the league is finally valuable enough to make these high-stakes demands, but they're forgetting one horrifying inconvenient detail about the league's actual finances. Here is the dirty little secret the WNBA never ever wants to talk about. The league has never once made a profit, ever. Even with the so-called Caitlin Clark effect, packing stadiums to the rafters and boosting television ratings, the league reportedly lost around $40 million last year alone. This is the cold, hard argument Adam Silver is making. Behind closed doors, the players are demanding a bigger cut of the revenue, but what they're really asking for is a bigger cut of the mounting losses. It's a financial fantasy completely detached from reality, and Cathy Engelbert knows it, but she can't say it out loud without being publicly dragged and destroyed by the media and her own players. Instead, the players are pointing to Caitlin Clark as their ultimate weapon in this negotiation. They're using her record-breaking jersey sales, her completely sold-out arenas, and her staggering 400% jump in ratings as undeniable proof that the entire league is now a financial powerhouse. They are arguing that her individual success reflects their new collective value as a whole. It's a bold and clever strategy, but it's built on an incredibly fragile foundation. They are taking the meteoric success of one transcendent, once-in-a-generation star and acting like it belongs to everyone, and the owners are finally starting to call their bluff. The owners got a brutal, sobering reality check earlier this season when Caitlin Clark was briefly sidelined with an injury. The very moment she was off the court, the magic vanished into thin air. Ratings immediately fell off a cliff. ESPN's talk shows, which had been obsessed with the league, suddenly stopped mentioning it. The casual fans who had finally tuned in specifically for Clark immediately tuned out and moved on. It was a terrifying glimpse into a world without her, and you can bet Adam Silver and every team owner was paying very close attention. He now had the ultimate trump card, undeniable proof that this wasn't sustainable league growth. It was a temporary bubble created by a single irreplaceable player. This pressure cooker environment has been amplified by a media that smells blood in the water. Shows like ESPN's First Take have turned the league's internal drama into a daily soap opera, fanning the flames of controversy for ratings. Every hard foul on Clark is analyzed frame by frame, not as a basketball play, but as evidence of a league-wide conspiracy of jealousy. The media narrative has created a toxic dichotomy. You're either with Caitlin Clark and progress, or you're one of the bitter veterans holding the league back. This relentless coverage has cornered both sides, forcing them to double down on their positions and making a quiet, reasonable negotiation almost impossible. Beneath the surface of the Players United front is a deep and growing fracture. The union is not as unified as its social media posts suggest. There's a palpable tension between the league's veterans and the younger generation. Veterans like Diana Taurasi have openly questioned the hype around the rookie class, suggesting they haven't earned their stripes. These older players fought for years in an empty league for scraps, and they now see rookies led by Clark walking into a media frenzy and demanding a fortune. They feel their own contributions are being erased, replaced by a narrative that the WNBA's history only began the day Caitlin Clark was drafted. This internal division is a weakness the owners can and likely will exploit. This tension exploded with the now infamous charter jet controversy. For years, players begged the league for private flights, citing safety and exhaustion, but the league always insisted it was far too expensive. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, and the security risks of her flying commercial became a massive, unavoidable story. The league was publicly shamed into caving, suddenly finding $25 million per year for charter flights. This move infuriated some owners, who saw it as another massive, unplanned expense driven entirely by one player. For some veteran players, it was a bitter pill to swallow. They had fought for this for over a decade, only for it to be granted overnight for a rookie. This deep-seated resentment isn't just happening in the boardrooms, it has spilled violently onto the court. The world watched in shock as Cheney Tyler delivered a cheap shot on Caitlin Clark away from the ball, a move that felt less like a basketball play and more like a premeditated message. The aggressive, relentlessly physical play directed at Clark has been a constant theme of her rookie season, a so-called welcome to the league that feels more like a targeted hazing campaign. It reflects a deeper, uglier jealousy simmering just below the surface, a league that is profoundly struggling to accept that its entire fate now rests on the shoulders of a 22-year-old. Fueling the players' demands is a deep-seated mistrust of the league's accounting. The union has all but accused the WNBA of hiding profits, suggesting there's a secret vault of cash somewhere that management is refusing to share. They believe the league's claims of losing $40 million a year are a classic accounting trick designed to keep salaries low. While it sounds like a conspiracy theory, this suspicion comes from a long history in sports and entertainment where creative bookkeeping can make profits disappear on paper. This accusation of financial deception has poisoned the well, turning a business negotiation into a battle of moral integrity. The players don't just want more money, they want what they believe is being stolen from them. This fight over phantom profits makes the threat of a lockout even more dangerous. When the NBA or the NFL had lockouts in the past, they were fighting over how to split billions of dollars in profit. It was a battle between millionaires and billionaires. The WNBA, however, is in a fight to the death while actively bleeding money. A shutdown wouldn't just pause the revenue stream, it could kill it permanently. If the league goes dark, there's no guarantee the network sponsors and casual fans who just showed up for Caitlin Clark will ever come back. It's a gamble that could end with the entire league folding for good. It all comes down to a fundamental power struggle between two leaders living in two completely different realities. Adam Silver is the cold, hard pragmatist, looking at the red ink on the balance sheets and warning Engelbert not to give away money the league simply does not have. He views the WNBA as a long-term investment that is still decades away from being able to financially stand on its own 2 feet. Cathy Engelbert, on the other hand, has to be the league's chief cheerleader. Her entire job is to sell a story of explosive growth and female empowerment, even if the numbers behind the curtain tell a much darker, more desperate story. The unspoken fear lurking in every owner's office is how this internal chaos is being perceived by their corporate sponsors. Brands like Nike, Google, and State Farm invested in the WNBA's image of empowerment, unity, and progress. Now they're watching a league tear itself apart with public spats, on-court cheap shots, and threats of a complete shutdown. The entire brand identity the league spent 3 decades building is at risk of being shattered. If the empowerment narrative collapses, so does the corporate interest. Sponsors could start pulling out, believing the brand has become too toxic, a decision that would trigger a financial death spiral from which the WNBA might never recover. In the end, Caitlin Clark's historic success didn't fix the WNBA, it simply held up a magnifying glass to show how broken the system truly was all along. She raised the stakes and expectations so high, so fast, that the league's fragile foundation is now cracking under the immense pressure. The players feel more valuable and emboldened than ever, while the owners are more terrified and defensive than ever. Engelbert is trapped in the crossfire, and Silver is losing patience with the whole drama. If a deal isn't reached and the league goes dark in 2026, there will only be one person unfairly blamed in the headlines: the star who accidentally became too big for the league she was supposed to save.